Hello and welcome to Daily Global Insights with Sri and Sri. Today is the 1st of April 2021 and this is episode number 131. Sridhar Chityalaji is back and because of some technical difficulties, we can only hear him. Welcome back, Sridharji.
Namaskar, and very happy to be back on the show and looking forward to exciting days ahead. And thanks for all your support and best wishes during this brief period.
Thank you, Sridharji. And here are the main points. The much awaited 2.25 trillion Biden Infra bill has been announced. In US news, the much awaited disaster courting 2.25 trillion Biden Infra bill has been announced. This consists of infra, caregiving, and manufacturing. Your initial thoughts, Sridharji?
My initial thoughts are it is the unmitigated disaster staring down the pipe of United States. When we go through the numbers, we will make the case as to why none of this is going to work, and this is going to be most precious money thrown away.
And corporate tax-funded programs are often unmitigated disasters, dislocation with spend and earn accountability, which is what you are hinting. And we'll have to wait and see. In fact, viewers, we have a separate segment today where we are going to discuss a little bit about the big expenditure items in this new $2.2 trillion package that we call it Biden stimulus package. And Team Biden tuned out Trump's warnings, modeling on Trump's migrant surge. So now this surge is going out of control. We have shown you some videos a couple of days back about how people can essentially walk across and then they'll have to wait for 3 years before they come in front of a judge, at which point he may rule to go back. But then for 3 years, they are going to be housed somewhere in the US. And it's just another unmitigated disaster. Sridharji, what are your numbers? What information do you have further to what's been happening in the last couple of days, sir?
The numbers that I have is that this has now grown to more than 1.4, 1.5 million. It's not even a small number in terms of the people who have come in. The rate in some of the places, it's 125 to 200,000 people have come in. They have all been asked to let go. There is no testing. There is nothing. There is no oversight. People have been, even media has been barred from access to any of the information that is flowing through that specific system. Schools, even army bases have been organized to accommodate this kind of people. Children are overcrowded. There is a pandemic, plus there is also cases of rape and abuse, and all the kinds of things that one can think of is going on. It is creating a great socio-economic pressure and societal pressure in some of the states like San Diego, some of the cities like San Diego.
And Texas asked SCOTUS to review Trump's self-sufficiency immigration policy. So this is something that Trump had initiated a while back. So is this a new lawsuit, sir, or is it an existing lawsuit?
It is basically a result of this outpour of activity that is taking place, unmitigated. You remember, the borders have been decriminalized. The borders have been made porous. There is no restrictions. CBP has been removed. ICE is no longer at play. So therefore, there is no question of retain and release or retain and hold. It's all released. Everybody is getting through. You just alluded to the fact even the court appearance is deferred for 3 years. So they're saying, Texas is saying, please come down. Allow the states to determine what it can absorb, because after all, it is its economy.
Yes, indeed. And Biden is going to allow Trump's H-1B Visa ban to expire. Would that be a big win for big tech, sir? What are your thoughts on that?
Big win. Indians are saying thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. So we have seen companies like Infosys, Startas, and Wipro, their stock price going up by 1%. It's a big win, which is effectively to say that they have restricted, because the restrictions were placed on the back of the pandemic and unemployment here at 14.9%. That's been removed. So therefore, now there's free flow.
Now, Parent groups are now fighting left wing indoctrination in schools. Now, this is something that has now started as a trickle, but it will soon become a flood, especially if this flow of illegal immigrants isn't stopped. What are your thoughts, sir? Where is
Yeah.
this headed?
Well, I think that there is a big headline that I read in the newspapers today, which is to say that the liberalization of US has commenced under Biden. So we are now moving into a liberal, probably quasi-communist, socialist model. And that's what this is. What's disconcerting about in schools is besides the justification of this lawlessness in terms of the grabbing, there is also that is going on. It's almost like self-guilty. People are saying, you're guilty, you are in someone else's land. You are guilty, you are in someone. So this indoctrination. Number two, I am told in some of the San Diego schools, this is anecdotal evidence based on the press reports to be corroborated. It says that the school kids, the local kids are not being taken to the school, but some of all these fellows who are coming in are being, the illegal, no illegal anymore. They're not called anymore illegal, aliens, nothing. They're normal human beings coming into the city, awaiting their turn to be normalized or citizens, whatever you want to call. So these kids are being taken into the schools at the expense, and the parents are fighting.
And I'm curious, Sridharji, why isn't the quad from the squad welcoming all these people on the borders of United States with open arms and then fight it out and say that, wow, we welcomed 100,000 people and we did not get COVID? Perhaps AOC and Pramila Jayapal and Ro Khanna and Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and their boss Bernie Sanders, they all can go and stand there and welcome them with open arms. See how many days they survive without catching COVID themselves.
No, they are what I call as what you call as the cuckoo land warriors. The cuckoo land warrior. That means they indulge in all luxuries while they preach to the troops. They are never front end soldiers, right? They preach. They're great preachers, but they are never at the front end. I will start with this. Let Bernie Sanders say, my wealth is 5 million. 1 million is the limit that you have put. Here's my 4 million to the fund. Where is he? Where is he? All his left liberal ragtags kind of stand up for him. Now they have said 1 million. Beyond 1 million, you pay capital gains. So let him give his beyond 1 million. And Janet Yellen charges 500,000. Let her give $400,000 towards the fund. Let them lead the way. Let John Kelly does not fly by planes. Let him go by bullock cart and say, I am showing the green energy. I'm going by bullock cart. I'm going to be in horse carriages. He sits in first class. Don Trump Jr. sits in economy class. He doesn't even wear a mask. Don Trump wears a mask. This is the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party. These fascists, undemocratic fascists, they preach, but they do not follow. How is he flying to India? Private jet. Why is he going on private jet? Let him go on a ship. It is very safe.
Yes, and I think what we are saying is put your money where your mouth is, and let's see how much of your generosity comes into play here. Georgia replaces ballot signature verification with checking ID numbers. If this is the new voter ID registration bill, I don't see anything wrong with it, sir. After all, we have been saying that unique identification of a citizen of the United States is essential in order for that person to cast the vote. So why is there so much brouhaha?
Brouhaha is basically because the reason is that every fellow who is coming into, according to the Democratic Party principles, every fellow who is coming in is a human being. So he doesn't need an ID. He doesn't need anything. He is here. So therefore, just accept his word and give him a vote. So register him, okay, and give him a vote. And that is why you can have many people can have the same address. That's what happened in quite a few states. Many people had the same address in Michigan. Some 445, he got some 400 calls on the same number. And it's one vote. So the story is that this is where They do not want validation. They want a carte blanche voting system very similar to what used to be in Russian elections. You have one candidate and you have everybody, and one candidate wins. That is Democratic Party model.
And now let's take a quick look at Biden's stimulus proposal. So the first one is 621 billion into transportation infrastructure such as bridges, roads, public transit, ports, and EV development. I'm assuming that is electric vehicles, sir?
Yes, electric vehicle points, checkpoint, what you call charging points.
Charging points. Okay.
Charging points.
And yeah, please go ahead, sir.
If you recall, in 2008, we had Jobs Act. $1 trillion of money was spent in, is called as the Jobs Act. What did it achieve? Nothing. It delayed the recovery by 2.5 years. We have given charts to prove that. You're now going to put 621 billion into transportation infrastructure, bridges, roads, transit, ports. I can understand the electronic vehicle charging points. That I can understand as we try to move towards the clean energy, right? So I think we are well on the way. But $621 billion to be spent over 4 years. Where is the money coming from? The money is actually coming from the corporate taxes. So if you talk about $2.25 billion, $2.25 billion over 4 years, you're really talking about an average tax collection of $500 billion to be sunk into these various programs. What is the economic outcome from this? Has anybody quantified? Okay, 621 billion. What does it generate by way of an economic? None. This is typically, Austin Gooseby will say, oh, we can do this, we can do that, we can. No, you can what you can prepay. You have taken a good money. You have taken $2.25 billion of corporate money, which could have been used for creating jobs by the private enterprise. Private enterprises create jobs. Government does not.
So there is. Please continue. Finish your thoughts, sir. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
So many of these programs have no mechanism, no funding mechanism. That's why I say there's a disconnect between spend and earn. There's no accountability. When you give somebody the money and say, here's 620 billion, don't need to worry about it. So who is paying for it?
And the package directs about $400 billion to elderly and disabled Americans. So this is sort of like a universal basic income. What are your thoughts, sir?
Going towards that, yeah, universal basic income, and basically to say elderly and this. How much of this money is going to go into this elderly? How many of this is going to disabled? How many of them is going to be pilfered right through the middle? We don't know. Astonishing number, 400 billion. This is over and above already the billions and billions of dollars of direct payments that has already gone in.
And there is a further 300 billion being injected into improving drinking water infrastructure, expanding broadband access, and improving electric grids. So this is essentially infrastructure development, isn't it?
It's actually infrastructure development. Infrastructure development today has evolved. Gone are the days when we used to use private enterprises, we use tax as a vehicle to fund, because tax as a vehicle is money gone. You are far better off using a public-private partnership model, very similar to what China has done, very similar to what Japan has done, very similar to India is doing in terms of the PPP. So there is a government incentive to augment, plus there is money coming in, and the money is being spent with an intent to generate some returns so that there is an economic outcome. In this, there is no economic outcome. I want to give money. Take the money, give it. Take the money, give it. What is this 300? What? Drinking water. You mean we don't have drinking water infrastructure in the United States? Expanding broadband access. You mean we don't have broadband? Wi-Fi is all over the place. And $300 billion. All this money is going into what you call as the special purpose grants for many of the Democratic Party members who are all in borderline states for the 2022 elections, money to be thrown away so they can win the election. That's all it is. This is.
And $300 billion are going into building and retrofitting affordable housing along with constructing and upgrading schools. And I'll just add one more thought because it's a similar 580 billion into American manufacturing, research and development and job training efforts. This is, it would be nice if you can do that, but I'm a little bit not sure about what's going to happen because you need a lot of the basic material that you need to manufacture are no longer in America, isn't it? You have to start from there.
They're no longer in America, and creating manufacturing jobs is by giving tax incentive, not by tax penalties. You give Mitsubishi, you give Hitachi, you give TSMC, I'll give you tax incentive. Very similar to production-linked incentive programs that the Indian government has given. Very similar to the grants that the China is giving for the industry to come and set up. Very similar to Koreans and Japanese who are giving incentive to the companies. I'm giving you 10 billion grant. You do not tax an enterprise and basically say create a job. You do not. Okay, this is exactly the contrarian view. So to me, this whole number is on, business is divided on this. Business is divided. Okay, mind you, here are two consequences. The two consequences of this are they're going to take this tax from 21% to 28%.
Right.
Plus, there's going to be an alternate minimum tax for companies doing business overseas. They are telling the companies acting overseas, even if Dubai gives you 0%, even if India gives you 10%, you, India, collect 21%. Otherwise, the balance of net difference between 21 and 10% we'll collect and charge and collect that money to fund this. So therefore, this is why I feel that this is a train wreck running down, and there is no funding mechanism established. They have to only borrow, which is going to put this 2021 budget completely out of kilter. By the way, this is not the end. Another 2 more trillion is coming.
Sir, I have one quick thought that comes to my mind. So if you make sure that those businesses who are making, the businesses of United States making money outside of US have to minimum pay 21%. And if they are located in US, they are going to pay 28%. So the differential is 7%. Either way. But this does not stop somebody who is an American citizen, such as yourself, myself, anyone, from uprooting ourselves from here and going and settling down in a tax haven like Dubai and saying that, hey, I have $1 million, I'll bring that $1 million into an investment into Dubai. If you give me a citizenship in Dubai, US allows dual citizenship. I'll take citizenship in Dubai. I might keep a token citizenship for US just in case if my kith and kin want to, invite me for a Christmas or something like that. So what's to stop them from doing this? I'm trying to, this might slow this, but I don't see this as a solution, sir. What are your thoughts?
This is just the beginning of the journey that we are seeing. We haven't seen the personal taxes as yet. We have not seen the capital gains. We have not seen the wealth. What we are seeing is very well encapsulated on the, I go back, I put fairly and squarely the responsibility on Mr. Obama and his kind of coterie of supporters who are now this. Remember the email that was written. If you want, we will repost that same email that he sent to the Georgia electorate, Senate electorate, when those two came in. This is the decisive moment for us. Much of our agenda is at risk. People have to come and vote. If we have, this is our way. So therefore, please vote for the Democratic candidate so we regain the Senate. The progressive agenda has to be set in this term. That, in a nutshell, sets the context as to what is being unleashed with such intense fury. This is like all executive orders. This is not discussed, debated, analyzed, and in the chambers, in both the chambers. So all determined, predetermined, and being passed. So the story is, I think that's what you're witnessing. What you're witnessing is the deconstruction of the United States. So otherwise, how would you see many of those programs that you saw, that loan discriminatory treatment of loans, discriminatory treatment of allocation of capital, universal child tax credits, all these kinds of programs that you are being kind of unleashed with the money that you don't have.
Sir, Chuck Schumer is looking at using the reconciliation process to bypass the filibuster, one for 2021 fiscal budget and the other for the 2022. Only one bill per year is the norm. So, again, some rule breaking happening?
Basically, there is an implicit kind of a Senate rule where you can use this filibuster, this what you call as the reconciliation process. You can use the reconciliation process to levy any budget, increase the debt limits, roll out fiscal programs, right? All you can embed. So they wanted to do two because of the backlog. So now they are going to use it for 2021 budget. So that's the next, probably the number that's coming. And then for the 2022. 2022 is the decisive year for Senate and the House, right? There will be a pitch dark battle. So they're going to use this reconciliation process judiciously, these two. They do not need any Republican votes. Zero Republican votes. They can just steamroll.
And in India news, Indian Air Force is going to get more French Rafale jets, and these fighters will be landing at Ambala Air Base. And in Indian government announces rupees 10,900 crores production-linked incentive scheme for food processing industry. That's a good move, isn't it, sir?
Excellent move. Excellent move. It's a long, much neglected. Food is a big thing, and I think India can be, on occasions, it's an excess producer, and it really can benefit and help the industry. All these agitations and stuff that is going on can be stalled, and it brings a far more efficient system. Now, this is the example that I was referring to, which is namely, you don't tax one industry so that you can kind of put the money into the other industry. But on the contrary, you bring capital with an incentive, and then you augment it with supplementary capital so that as they step up, the industry gets absorbed, and then the money kind of comes back. The economic outcome is realized. There is a beneficiary on the producers and there is a beneficiary on the buyers. So both benefit in an economic system with a capital allocated according to the merits of the business case.
And World Bank says that India has bounced in a big way out of the pandemic woods, but it is still not yet in the clear with a projected growth of 7.5% to 12.5%. So that's a fairly wide range. Do you think that could be narrowed perhaps a little bit?
Today, this is a headline report from the World Bank today, which is to say that it's basically, I think that they're trying to recalibrate to some extent, the deficit. The deficit seems to have come even much closer. So the question, therefore, is what is the amount of available kind of cash that is going to be available at the end, so that can help to push this thing forward. The second reason there is a little bit of a calibration is there are some attempted shutdowns, I'm told, in India that is being contemplated in some of the states, like MP, Maharashtra, Bihar, Karnataka, and so on. And whether that can slow a little bit of the economies is something that people are contemplating. But what I also hear is the tax receipts are likely to be very high. And on the negative side, some of the 6 core sectors in the manufacturing has not taken off as much as they would want, right? That could probably be delayed effects of this pandemic stuff. So the situation is that it could turn out that India could finish with 10 to 12.5% with a surprise in terms of accelerated vaccine programs. Now, they have de-accelerated to some extent the export of the vaccine so that they can maximize the consumption. And also, I think they have now cut off, the age is around 40 years old. Anybody who is 40 plus is going to be. I think vaccination is a must. In terms of vaccination is a must. It's a preventive kind of a recourse which will help the economy to kind of people to be a lot more healthier to deal with the issues.
And in global news, Taiwan is going to buy new air defense missile systems to guard against China. So now China is targeting Taiwan more than even India, right?
Taiwan is the target, and they've got plans to go forward. Depending on who you speak and when you speak, somebody thinks that this thing can happen in 2022. They broke the air defense systems. We discussed it last time. And so now really Taiwan is being ramped up. What is quite amazing in the Taiwan situation is that there is a very close proximity and very close coordinated activity taking place between India, Japan, and of course Australia. Clearly, the player who is stepping up as Quad plus one, believe it or not, is not Britain, but it is France. France is stepping in big time as an unknown kind of power.
And definitely they know something that I think the rest of Europe doesn't know yet. And it's good that at least one country has smelled and woken up and smelled the coffee. The 5 things in the latest Hong Kong election overhaul shows that the fascist police democracy is in place with the Xi Jinping rule. So they don't want to consider Hong Kong as any special entity anymore. That begs the question, sir, then why have a Hong Kong dollar?
I think that it is, Chinese would like to have, butter both sides of the bread. Okay. So they would like to have, right? So they will say, oh, we'll do dual listing. Okay, this side of the bread is brown, that is Xi Jinping. That side of the bread is creamy, that is the world. You want to be the world, you come here. But slowly we'll take out this cream and we'll also make it into a brown rust. Okay, but we'll give you the incentive for you to come in. So they're contemplating dual listing. One for the overseas investors, one for the brown.
Sir, one thought, sir. I'm sorry, I went back to the taxation rate. If the US is going to charge 21% regardless of where the company is incorporated, then won't the tax havens take a beating?
Tax havens are going to be banned. Illegal. Glad that you asked the point.
Yeah. That's good though. Mr. Chidambaram will be fretting really bad now. So far he has been one step ahead of the law in India. Well,
no, Mr. Chidambaram, Chidambara Rahasyam in a thing like that. He has many rahasyas. So he will dig his grave in many, many places which you can't find. He's very unique.
There's a saying, sir, the worst punishment you can inflict on a rich man is to make him poor. So we'll see how it plays out. Now China has lost its ore access from Australia. So now it is trying to build a new iron ore hub in Africa. Poor Africa, what did they do?
Well, they basically become, they get teased and tempted into, we'll give you $2 billion and, develop your thing. Only we need a little bit of land. Okay, so then you give. Then 2 billion you can't pay interest because interest on interest and interest because it's corrupt. So now now we own you. Okay, so we own all these mining resources. You have to sign to us. Okay, so we'll build it. You remember that we discussed that map at length around their African strategy of China.
Yes,
and basically why they are building that. So they're trying to. The same place, US is there. The same place, Japan is there. The same place, France is there. Same place, India is there. There's a whole swag of people that are going to come in. Though this is not one of the things that we are witnessing right now, right, which the world has not taken cognizance of. United Nations as an institution to impose sanctions is dead. Africa is an example. The 25-year deal struck between China and Iran right under the nose of United Nations to buy oil and resources using an alternate currency, which is the renminbi, means United Nations is dead. There's no sanctions.
And Brazil army leaders quit as Bolsanaro seeks greater support. We explain this in the next section, so hold on to your horses. Sridharji, if I could go on to COVID, because we are running out of time. In the global COVID news, AstraZeneca continues to face challenges in Europe, and Brazilian health regulator declines Covaxin by Bharat Biotech. Sir, this is something very unusual. Nobody till date had declined the Covaxin by Bharat Biotech. So, is there any relationship between this and the previous news item that I read, sir?
I think that there seems to be some kind of what you call tremors under Bolsanaro. They say that they investigated the Pune factory, and they found that there are some procedural kind of issues and lapses and so on. That is the reason, without any details. No objections were given. So I think Bolsonaro is saying that some of these people are kind of giving me problem. He needs far more stable and supportive administration to get his agenda through. In fact, if you remember, Bolsonaro said that he called the vaccines given by India as Sanjeevani.
Yes, lifesaver. Yes.
Lifesaver. So therefore, I think that there is a correlation in terms of the consolidation of the power that is going on. And remember, historically, Brazil is again a left liberal state. Bolsonaro is an exception to the rule. Yes, there is to a great extent, there is a correlation on this.
And India could easily be the largest hub for Quad with 1 billion vaccines soon. That's an impressive target, sir.
It's been given. I think that license has been given to India, which is effectively to stay. That 1 billion vaccines Quad will combat China. And there was a huge hue and cry raised by Xi Jinping, and Scott Morrison gave a befitting reply to Xi Jinping, which is effectively to say, we are a historical, old, democratic, aligned power. Okay, Japan, Australia, US, India have a legacy of relationship. It is incumbent upon us to meet the needs of our community. You have no business and no role to play in this. You do what you want to do, but don't come and tell us what we need to do. That's the message Scott Morrison gave. I'm very impressed with Scott Morrison's leadership. How Australia has taken the lead in this is quite amazing.
And in markets, Goldman is close to offering digital assets and Bitcoin currency offering to its wealth management clients. So Bitcoin finally is anointed in the United States too, sir.
Bitcoin is going to be here, sir. Bitcoin will be here. It's not going to go away. It is an alternate currency. It is a hedge currency. It's a commodity. It's like gold. It may not be, you can't wear it, but you can keep it. You can hold it. You can store in value. Who knows? If I want to buy 5 Tesla cars, I give 5 coins to Mr. Elon Musk and he will give me 5 cars. So therefore, who knows? So the story is that it has a marketplace. It will trade. So this bogus notion by these so-called old economists that it is dead, I can't tell, all this bullshit, is nonsense, is here. Bitcoin is here. And digital assets are here. Electronic vehicles are here. EV checkpoints are here. We're not going to be putting credit cards and debit cards next 100 years later and taking out the stuff. No, we're not. The world changes. So the story is the Bitcoin is here. So therefore, the fact that they have a dedicated group set up, there are 2 more banks very soon will be announcing a trading around this. Now here's a news which Coinex is going to set up their Bitcoin data center in Hyderabad, the back office. And India wants to ban Bitcoin.
Delicious irony there.
So they're setting up the IT infrastructure there. There's no problem. I'm setting up a software shop. You don't want to use me? Great. But I got very good, brilliant engineers there. They'll cut the code.
And investors are seeing higher interest rates as the biggest threat to stocks, meaning like 10-year yields. What say you, sir? How high do you think the 10-year yields might go?
I think before the end of the year, we are at 2%. We are already at 1.746. We will be at 2% before the end of the year. And but the good news is that with $2 more trillion of stimulus coming in, there's more money. S&P projection is around 4200s. We are already around 3900s. So we are not too far from reaching that end of the year goal of the 4200s, which will be quite a remarkable kind of a number. So to me, I think that uh, the um, the markets will rise not on a bubble but excess cash, the excess cash generating the income with normal gyrations. And these are the not the tech stocks, but these are um, uh, the uh, the value stocks that will rise when when there is an economy rising, when there is cash in the system. So I think we will finish the year quite well in United States. We already know that we are around the 6% growth trajectory from a GDP point of view, but the long-term damage would have been done.
And in markets, today we had a down day and crude finished at $59.18, 10-year yield at 1.746%, and Bitcoin, perhaps because of the Goldman Sachs announcement, is again on its way up, $59,083, sir.
There you go, sir. So 59,000 to $0 is a long way to go, sir.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And Sridharji is poking fun at me for having published an opinion article about Bitcoin's value. Is it 1 million or dollar zero? And we have this banter back and forth. But it's nice to have you back, sir. And we'll be back at full strength tomorrow. And thanks for joining. Please do subscribe to our channel. Consider joining our membership. And as always, Sridharji, namaskaram, and see you tomorrow.
Namaskar and thank you. I'm so glad to be back and I can speak with some energy, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.